Welcome back to All Star Buzz. Thanks for tuning in. Before we dive in, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us grow. Now, let's get into it. The moment I saw the title, I knew this was going to be crazy. People kept sending me these clips, telling me I had to watch. And let me tell you, it's even worse than I expected. Just take a look at this episode's title. Who should lead the Democratic Party? That alone says it all. They don't even have a clear leader.
It's a question. Who's in charge? Who's the leader of the Democratic Party, Governor? And I said, the people are. There is not going to be a charismatic leader right in it. It is going to be people coming out on a beautiful Friday afternoon, demanding change and holding people accountable.
Yeah, well, and voters also said they're looking for leadership, you know, and so I guess the question is, which Democrat do you see stepping up to lead the party? I mean, I don't know if you can wait for somebody to step up and lead the party. I think he's not wrong when he says the party is us. And what are we prepared to do? I say you got to, check on your schools, depending on where you live. You got to find out what's going on with your Medicare, Medicaid, who the doctors are and what they're going to do to help you. Because if we wait for somebody to come up and lead us, a lot more people are going to fall, I think, by the wayside.
Except that you need...
They're out here going off about Trump, taking shots at Elon Musk, and bashing his supporters, but they can't even figure out who's leading their own party. That's wild. They literally don't have a clear leader, and now they're looking to Whoopi Goldberg? Is she supposed to be in charge now or something? She's always the first one talking on the show, so I guess that makes her the default leader. But seriously, why her? It's obvious they don't think before they speak. They just blurt out whatever comes to mind. And what exactly makes her qualified to lead anything? This is exactly why the Democratic Party is in chaos. There are real issues that need attention. Schools, the economy, national security, but instead they're letting someone like Whoopi, who half the time doesn't even seem to know what she's talking about, be their voice. No wonder they're completely lost when it comes to leadership.
Fall, I think, by the wayside.
Except that you need somebody to sort of lead the way, somebody to tell them why they're out there. Don't look at me, Whoopi.
Now she's joyous.
No, I think that you do need a leader in many ways. I was looking at the stats here, and
here's the stats,
not
y'all.
one, AOC, Kamala, Bernie, Hakeem, Barack, Newsom, none of them have more than 9% of the approval of the party as a leader. And you need somebody who's going to tell them, look.
Who did she say? Y'all listen to this. Hold on, where's the list, y'all? Hold on.
Stats here, and not one, AOC, Kamala, Bernie, Hakeem, Barack, Newsom, none of them.
More than 9% approval as a leader? That's all they've got? And wait, who did she even say should lead? Hold on, let me check the list. Nope, not AOC, not Bernie, not Hakeem, not Kamala, not even Barack, none of them. This whole situation has me completely thrown off. Let's talk about these so-called leaders. AOC, Hakeem Jeffries, Kamala Harris, even Barack Obama. Be honest, does anyone seem genuinely excited about any of them taking charge of the Democratic Party? Not at all. And honestly, I'm not the least bit surprised. But here's what really gets me. People aren't even listening to them anymore. And can you blame them? Just look at what they're offering. Every single name mentioned, a complete disaster when you break it down. And the craziest part? They all have one thing in common. Their entire platform revolves around hating Donald Trump. That's it. No real policies. No real solutions for struggling Americans. Just endless complaining. Trump bad. Elon Musk bad. Let's riot. Let's scream. Let's burn things down. That's their movement now. And this is exactly why the Democratic Party keeps losing ground. While they throw tantrums over Trump and Musk, everyday people are dealing with real problems. Skyrocketing gas prices, grocery bills that keep climbing, and safety concerns in their own neighborhoods. But instead of addressing those issues, all we hear is more of the same tired outrage.
In many ways. I was looking at the stats here, and not one, AOC, Kamala, Bernie, Hakeem, Barack, Newsom, none of them have more than 9% of the approval of the party as a leader. And you need somebody who's going to tell them, look, the reason we have to have, this is something that bothers me in this country with people. They don't understand certain things, like they were against giving money to Ukraine, for example. And one of the arguments from that is that, well, why don't you use the money here instead of giving it to these Ukrainian people? Well, when we give the money to you here, you call it socialism and turn on the Democrats. So somebody needs to get out there and explain these things to people.
That's also not true. You're correct, but the money that goes to Ukraine is actually spent in the U.S. building weapons,
they don't say
contributing
that
to our
either.
GDP.
I think Democratic voters say 2-1. They want party leaders to fight rather than compromise.
But do you hear these politicians talking about real issues? Nah, it's all performative outrage, all the time. And let's talk about Whoopi's role in all this. She's sitting comfortably in a high-end studio, her makeup done by professionals, cashing massive paychecks just to spout nonsense. The second the cameras turn off, she's got private security, personal assistants, and an entire team making sure she never has to deal with the real-world consequences of what she says on that show. But the people watching at home, the ones stuck living with the mess every single day, let's be real. Whoopi gets chauffeured around in black SUVs straight to some gated mansion. I don't even know exactly where Sunny's house is, but come on. We all know it's in some luxury neighborhood behind security gates. She doesn't have to worry about protesters vandalizing her property or mobs showing up at her door. Meanwhile, everyday Americans are dealing with rising crime and economic struggle, and she's completely insulated from it all. But here's what really gets me. These Democratic millionaires with their luxury estates, vacation homes, and net worths in the tens of millions are the same ones telling regular people to take to the streets, riot, and risk everything. They want working-class Americans to face arrest, destroy property, and put their livelihoods on the line while they sit safely behind security gates, sipping wine in their beachfront estate. The hypocrisy is unreal.
2-to-1, they want party leaders to fight rather than compromise, even at the risk of not getting things done. And I think that's what we're seeing. Yes, you want people to be able to exercise their First Amendment rights to protest and to get into the streets, get out there and say, this is what we want. But we know that this administration is not playing by the rules. They're certainly not playing by the Constitution, and people are now being arrested for exercising their constitutional rights. So you do need a leader. I've said it over and over again. This is not about being a resistance party. That's very passive. This is about being an opposition party, which is an action. That's very, very active. And when you look at leaders that it seems that people are supporting, you're looking at the Jasmine Crockett, who doesn't care, who's going to fight for you. You're looking at the Al Green with his cane, who's saying, my constituents need Medicaid. You're looking at that. Doesn't care, who's going to fight for you. You're looking at the Al Green with his cane, who's saying, my constituents need Medicaid. You're looking at that. You're looking at, I would say, an AOC. Her name keeps on coming up because she's out there every single day saying, this is what we need to do. So what I want to see is I want to see somebody meet energy with energy. I want to see a Democratic leader that doesn't capitulate, that doesn't make deals with the other side when the other side is interested in making deals. It's their way or the highway. Let's see a leader that's willing to fight.
Up, people? These rich elites aren't the ones dealing with the fallout. They're not getting arrested when protests turn violent. They're not the ones whose cars are getting vandalized just for driving a Tesla in the wrong neighborhood. Have you seen those videos? Regular people getting attacked just because of what kind of car they drive. Meanwhile, the wealthy politicians and TV personalities fueling this chaos. They're completely insulated. They'll never have to deal with shattered windows, looted businesses, or angry mobs storming their gated communities. They stir the pot, but they never face the consequences of the division they create. Honestly, I don't understand how anyone still listens to these hypocrites. They've built a toxic environment where